Hey, everybody, look up, watch out. It's Keep Up with your boy StillVinSane. This is episode 14 of Keep Up Live. I am here to bring you anything trending, viral going on in your world, whether it's in news, sports, social media, movies, TV. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. You can win trivia night, which shout out to 123 Trivia Fun. I just joined their team. I'm going to be doing trivia nights on Wednesday at the Mighty Quins. If you live in Queens or Forest Hills, you might be familiar with that. So come on, join me. We can get it poppin'. We can go over anything in pop culture history together. And if you want to win some prizes, you want to have a good time, I'm here for that. So let's get into it. So what the fuck happened this week? And again, this is not the Trump show, but to be honest, just like the Truman Show, we're definitely living in it. So let's go on. Let's go over what he's done this week. This week, he administered 25% tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada and increased the existing tariffs on Chinese goods from 10% to 20%. These measures aim to pressure these countries to combat the production and distribution of fentanyl, addressing the U.S. opioid crisis. In response, Canada imposed 25% tariffs on $155 billion worth of U.S. goods. China placed 10 to 15% tariffs on U.S. agricultural products, and Mexico announced forthcoming countermeasures. These actions have escalated global trade tensions, affecting markets and economies worldwide. So it's not that I don't believe in tariffs. I don't believe in broad tariffs. I believe the last time that happened was Woodrow Wilson, where he did a all encompassing. I could be wrong. Historians, please fact check me on that. If there's anybody in the comment threads, let's put up some banners. Why do I not have banners? Anyway, oh, here we are. Keep Up Live. Hey, also make sure you're supporting the show. I do this completely funded myself. If you want to buy me a cup of coffee, if you want to enhance the product, please stop on by to my Patreon, to my Cash App, whatever the case. I am not too proud to beg. I'm here. I'll dance for you. I'll do a cameo for you, whatever you want. I'm here. So again, I believe it's Woodrow Wilson, and he tanked the economy. And anybody that has done broad tariffs or, created the only time isolationism worked was FDR. And that was like during World War II. And we had a lot less allegiances. That was before NATO. That was before a lot of treaties, a lot of free trade. That's another thing. I believe in free trade. So, of course, and I know that globalist might be a bad word for some people, but I am. I want to participate. I want to collaborate with world powers. And it doesn't mean that it has to be a centralized government within. Sorry, I'm like shaking the camera. It doesn't mean it has to be a centralized government or centralized banking. I know that we have organizations that do that. I'm not a fan of that. I'm with the forefathers on that, not centralizing banking. But with tariffs, also, people say that Biden kept some of them. He did. Semiconductors, electric vehicles, places that we were really falling behind. Last time in the first administration, he did tariffs on a bunch of things and broad scale. And the Chinese government really punished us for it. Farmers, especially, like with pork and soy, all they did was go to Korea, to Vietnam, to get these products, and they're doing the same thing right now. I believe the spirits industry, the alcohol industry, has hit America hard. I know the manufacturers for Jack Daniels pulled their alcohol from their shelves, and that's devastating. As a matter of fact, the leader of the company said that is worse than a tariff, taking it off our shelves. So again, I do believe in some tariffs we need to get on par, because a lot of countries, like China, for instance, they don't really take a lot of our EV, actually at all. So that's a place where you try to balance the scale of the market. Semiconductors. We're going to get into that a little bit with the CHIPS Act. That's another area that we need to lead in. Intel is struggling really hard, and that's an American chip maker, and we need to help that. We need to be patriotic in the places where it makes us money. So I think this administration is a little bit foolish in the way they're doing it. They've been rolling it back, putting it back, going back on their word, extending deadlines. The market crashed quite a few times. And if you don't remember, this guy, while he was campaigning, said, if anybody goes down 1,000 points at the stock market, they deserve to be impeached. Well, he's done that several times. he's done that several times, and he ain't going nowhere. And as a matter of fact, as much as I think that his assassination attempt was fake, I do not want him to get assassinated this time. I do not want my vice president. I'd rather my president have a spray tan than eyeliner, and that fucks couches. JD Vance is terrible. And I went to school in Indiana where Mike Pence was governor, and he was terrible. But if Trump were the succession line, I think we would have been in better hands with Mike Pence. We would not be in good hands with either JD Vance or even in the next succession line, Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson is terrible. The State of the Union was it State of the Union? It was his address to Congress, and it was typical. Biden. I've seen the one with Obama. I've seen the one with Trump. I don't think I've seen anything other than that. I wasn't really that into politics yet. They do the same thing. It's very partisan. Some of them don't get up. Some of them don't clap universally for things. He brought in a kid that was battling cancer while he got rid of cancer research. So a lot of people called out Democrats for not clapping for that. He also gave him a honorary Secret Service appointed to him, and whatever, cool. Clap for him. He also got this girl, Lakeland. She got beat up by is it Lakeland? So there's two women. One was beat up severely by an immigrant, an undocumented immigrant, and so that was their fear tactic on how to convince you not to believe in our immigration system and to clamp down on the border and to embolden ICE, which we'll cover that in a little bit. Some of your rights on that. Pretty bad times. But anyway, so with that address, and so then there was another one where we're supposed to be fearful of trans people. I guess they pulled a what's it called? Meet the Fockers. What was it called? Meet the Parents, where he Ben Stiller, Gaylord, he punted the ball into the girl's face. Apparently that happened, and she had severe injuries, and so that was his token victim, and it was crazy. It was madness. Representative Green and he was censured for it. He said that there is no mandate for cutting Medicaid, and so they kicked him out. Mike Johnson, even though Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, I believe Representative Wilson a while back for Obama called him a liar outright. Nobody kicked him out. That is something that nobody really does, kicks people out of these addresses. But for some reason, Mike Johnson wanted to set that precedent. Be careful what you do, because Republicans, no matter what, and same thing with Democrats, you're not always going to be in power. So when you set up these things, just like Mitch McConnell did with packing the courts and making sure Obama didn't get to pick Merrick Garland, you set that up for the next administrations to use that as a playbook. And so, yeah, shout out to him for that. It was a terrible address. He also called out the Democrats, saying that, like, if I cured cancer, if I cured a disease, not cancer, if I cured some disease, if I fixed the economy, that they wouldn't clap for him. There's really nothing to clap for, especially in this second term. Like, really nothing's going right. He's getting blocked left and right. We could go over that in a little while. From the courts, he is trying to be an imperialist president. And we mentioned that before last episode. An imperialist president is someone that tries to bypass both of the branches of government beside him, like he does with Doge, making his own consulting firm to audit when we already have the Office of Management and Budget, who he appointed someone to. Uh, and I also was fact check on me. I didn't think that he had any black cabinet members. He put another black person in charge of urban housing, just like he did with Ben Carson. I don't remember his name. Let's look it up right now. Scott Turner. Yep. And he's a representative of Texas. Oh man, they're going through a measles epidemic right now. Shout out to Mr. HHS, Mr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the bear eater. He This is what you get. Texas is one of the least vaccinated states in the country, and now they're going through this. And he's saying to chow down on some vitamin A, which is not supposed to be individually administered. So we'll see what happens over there. North Carolina is going through South Carolina is going through forest fires, and nobody's telling them to rake it. Nobody's telling them to go into a reservoir. For some reason, nobody cares about that anymore. Eggs are like $10. Nobody cares about that anymore for some reason. I guess it's because who's president? As long as he's deporting everybody, as long as he's spitting in the face of Ukrainians, as long as he's bypassing Congress to send weapons to Israel, as long as he's taking refugees from South Africa, white South African farmers, because they're trying to equalize. And depending on what you're looking at, they're saying it's retaliation. But most of the farmers are black in South Africa, and there still hasn't been a redistribution since the apartheid. And so they're trying to make up for that. And Trump is the defender of all the Caucasian people, I guess. And he wants them to be refugees as he throws out the Ukrainians, as he throws out Haitians, as he sends ICE to your schools and your churches. It's crazy. But anyway, back to the tariffs. I don't believe him. I don't think broad ones. I think that's going to end up in a recession. I think that's going to inflate inflation. That's why he's begging the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates, and that would be great for him. But it's supposed to be nonpartisan. Everything that he's doing right now is partisan, including the Kennedy Center. Oh, I am a big fan of the arts, obviously, and a huge, and starting with Issa Rae, Hamilton, they're all backing out because now he's the chair. He's the chair of the Kennedy Center, which is, again, a nonpartisan entity, and he wants to make it the golden era of like arts. And I don't even know how he does that. He has no Emmys. He's not successful at media. He's not, his Truth Social is doing bad. Trump Media is doing bad, like just like his casinos did. So, whoa. He also is the chair for the FIFA, for the World Cup that's coming here. And we're all supposed to be in coalition with the 51st state, Canada. Makes no sense. And Mexico, we're representing. And then I don't think he's the chair for this, but the Olympics are coming to LA soon, which he helped secure. That's cool. I do enjoy the Olympics, and I do enjoy hosting. I know it has some problems, but it usually boosts the economy. When it goes to lesser developed nations, it's not so much of a good thing because they don't have the infrastructure for it. But we do, and we love excess waste. So if there is that, we're down to look like it's going well, even if it's not. But that's fine. That's fine. That's something I could deal with. But yeah, tariffs. He's going to keep going back and forth with this, and we're going to keep feeling the prices. So a lot of economists say, and I'm pretty sure I'm repeating what a lot of you guys have already heard in the news, is that a lot of economists say that the price is going to come back to us. And he even said, one of his cabinet members said that we are going to feel a detox of the policies from the Biden administration, which is and also Trump said it during the address that we're going to feel it a little bit. We're going to endure some pain. And how is that right? How did you campaign that things are going to be less expensive And then you get into office and say, nah, it is going to be expensive, but deal with it. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Even with the fentanyl, I mentioned the fentanyl. China does produce it a lot. Unfortunately, I don't even know how they don't want to stop that, but whatever. That's Mexico arranges it, and Canada does get it, but I think they get like around like 44 like kilograms or something like that. It's like the amount that are in a suitcase, and it's not even worth clamping down on them. And so the press secretary said that a lot of fentanyl comes from Canada, and that's not true. A lot of it comes from China, and it goes through Mexico's borders, and that is serious. Fentanyl is serious. Even a tiny dose can kill you. I know people that have died from it, from just hitting it once, and it's very deadly. So that's their way on combating that. To the CHIPS Act, TSMC, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, announced plans to invest $100 billion in U.S.-based semiconductor manufacturing, a move welcomed by President Trump as a boost to domestic technology production. That is big, but also thank you, Daddy Biden. He's not my daddy. I don't like Biden. I definitely don't like Trump. Obama's my boy. Bernie's my boy. AOC's my girl. But yeah, thank you for the CHIPS Act. It created subsidies. I argued with this with my very conservative friend Josh. He thinks he's a libertarian. He's not. And he's also a huge Trump bootlicker. He finds like little things that don't matter. Like he said that they reallocated German troops over to the Ukraine border. And he was like, see, I don't want this. I don't want no interventions, blah, blah, blah. Too late. I used to think that too. But in order for America to stay like this, you do. You do. You can't be Switzerland. You can't be a federation like that. You can't just mind your business at this point. We are who we are. And to back out of all these countries, they look at that. NATO, Europe right now is assembling right now. And I forgot who one of the world leaders was. I think it was either Britain. No, not Britain. They've been sucking a little dick lately. France or someone else. I forgot who it was. Poland. They said, we got to look. The U.S. clearly doesn't want to be the world leader anymore. America first. America first. They clearly do not want to be the world leader. So we have to look elsewhere. And if that's what people wanted, that's what we're getting. That's exactly what we're getting. We are becoming an isolationist country. I know a lot of people say that we're becoming a military state. I don't believe that. We are becoming isolationist. He is a big fan of North Korea. And I think he wants that. I think he wants to be on that level. Russia, supposedly he's going to put banking sanctions on Russia because they tried to destroy Kyiv recently. They tried to destroy the homeland of Zelensky. Whoa. But I don't believe it. I don't believe it. There's almost no sanctions that have happened during his term, and that's why a lot of people call him a Russian asset. He also wants to get a better Iran deal to stop them from doing nuclear weapons. But again, he proliferates other countries to do things. For instance, he is blaming Obama for Syria when he sides with Putin and Putin sides with Assad. Whoa, I'm all over the place right now. Lots of things going on. But again, TSMC investment, Samsung and Intel were awarded contracts during the CHIPS Act, during Biden, and now this is another one from Taiwan. And again, the administration is saying it is because of the tariffs. The Taiwanese government says it's not, and they said it is because of the CHIPS Act, and they are trying to invest further into semiconductors, a huge component during the pandemic. A lot of things raised up in price because a lot of chips were not being manufactured into cell phones, into all types of products. And it was a huge deal that has kind of subsided recently. And we are here now. He wants to get rid of the CHIPS Act, and people in his own party do not. And so we'll see where that goes. Domestic policies, loan forgiveness. An executive order was signed to limit the PSLF program, excluding organizations involved in activities deemed illegal against public policy, such as those related to illegal immigration or public disruptions. This move has raised concerns among advocates for student loan borrowers who argue it is unjustly affect many public servants. So if you are a public servant, most of the time you get your loan forgiven, whether you're a teacher, whatever the public servant calls for. And so there are certain ones that he wants to exclude now. I don't think that's fair, but I didn't read too much into it. It's similar to him blocking out the Associated Press for not calling it the Gulf of America. It's similar to Columbia University, which he paused or canceled $400 million of funding to Columbia. And Columbia is supposed to be really left-leaning, but when it comes to money, so they have a 30-day review period where they can go get that money back. And you can best believe that it is going to be like they're going to send the National Guard next time somebody protests against the IDF and the Knet with Netanyahu. I know that people love to cry out free speech, but these are instances. So I guess like you just want to hear what you want to hear. You want free speech only in the areas where you want it. And I'm not saying people from the left don't do that either, but that's clearly what's going on right now. Official language designation. I mentioned this before. We went 250 years without designating a language. And an executive order was issued by making English the official language of the United States, reversing a mandate by former President Bill Clinton, which required language assistance for non-English speakers. Federal agencies can now decide if they will provide documents and services in other languages. 30 out of the 50 states already have English as the official language. So that's not too shocking. But again, that's what the forefathers were totally against that. They were totally against that. This is another win for King George III. This is another win for trans mice. I forgot to mention that. During his address, he mentioned all the Doge savings that we're going to get, and we're going to get it in an $8,000 stimulus package, supposedly, from Elon Musk and his child interns, which will also boost inflation. That's what happened last time when Donald Trump enforced his signature on our checks. The first president to ever do that, to put his signature on, and then blame another president for inflation. So on the website too, I thought I was in the Twilight Zone. I thought I was like in a Black Mirror episode. So CNN reported that it wasn't transgender mice, and other publications backed them up. And it wasn't. I mean, I guess depending what you read, if you're reading comprehension, if you're siloed, if you're narrow into feeling that that's what's going to happen, or you want to defend your orange leader, your orange cult leader, there was home run therapy on mice to find breast cancer research, all types of things, and it wasn't to change the sex of the mouse. So if you go on the White House website, I think even now it says, yes, Biden. Actually, we can go there right now. Why not? And I believe, is it not? Oh, it was on the White House website, like right on the first search results. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We are not in the Twilight Zone. This is definitely happening. I never thought I'd see something like this. Yes, Biden spent millions on transgender animal experiments. So this is the best part. Last night, President Donald J. Trump highlighted many of the egregious examples of waste, fraud, and abuse funded by American taxpayers, around $8 million. Drop in the ocean when it comes to debt. We are around $30 trillion in debt. So I don't know how this is helping. Why don't you stop paying so much for freaking war? All good. The fake news, it doesn't matter who's in office. They're always going to up the spending of war or defense. The fake news losers at CNN immediately tried to fact check it, but President Trump was right as usual. And they go, and at least they cite it. NIH At least they cite these things. But again, if you could read, it does not. It's hormone therapy, but it doesn't mean that they're trans. It doesn't mean that they turned into women or a female mice or male mice. You're gonna have to read it yourself. That's a little too boring for me. But as far as yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. And again, I thought I was seeing things and I was not. He called another publication loser, and that is wild. And but for some of you, you voted for that. For some of you, you voted for that. So that's a win under your belt. I do not consider that a win, but again, who am I? Who am I? I'm just little old StillVinSane. He paused Ukraine aid, and again, that made Zelensky go over to Europe and try to get a coalition together to make up for the aid. But again, this is what he wanted. He wants us to back out of NATO. He wants to make a new deal with Iran about no more nuclear proliferation. Poland is trying to get access to nuclear capabilities because they can't rely on the US anymore to save them, or they're very wary of Europe because right now 1/5 of Ukraine is taken over by Russia right now, and they took Crimea during the Obama administration. So people don't really feel safe in those areas. So but Zelensky wants peace, so he has talked to Russia about a about a ceasefire at least. And you see how the ceasefire is going with Gaza and Israel right now. That's not going well. Uh, nobody is complying. Hostages are being brought in pieces. Israel blocked all the aid to Gaza to pressure them to give up the hostages without them complying in a meaningful way. Egypt and Jordan are trying to come together and trying to be mediators in that situation. It's just not going well. And again, that's not because I'm not a fan. I don't want these things not to go well. I root for America. I'm not like a nationalist. I'm not someone that just like is like Kid Rock and like puts on American flag like boots and galoshes and a cowboy hat and pledge my fealty to it. Again, I'm half black, so this country wasn't really that nice to me. I've had ancestors that went to war and they still had civil rights and they still had to go into the back of the bus when they came back. They couldn't own businesses, they couldn't make bank loans, they couldn't own homes. So it's not like this country was like totally blissful to my ancestors. But I still root for it. I'm still American. I'm still from the U.S. I still don't want to leave. I know George Lopez left. I know a few people have renounced their citizenship and gone somewhere else. That's not me. I ain't no quitter. There ain't no quitting me, and I ain't running away. That's some bitch shit. Of course, Trump on Twitter, Mr. Twitter Fingers, Mr. X. He threatened Hamas at the last warning to Hamas to release all hostages held in Gaza after meeting 8 former hostages, indicating a firm stance on the Middle East. That was a few days ago. So I don't know. It seems like an empty threat at this point. Oh, and this one kind of went under the radar. National Wildlife Refuge renaming. He renamed it the Jocelyn Nunegray National Wildlife Refuge in memory of the 12-year-old girl from Houston who was tragically killed by immigrants. I don't know what that has to do with wildlife. I know it's Women's History Month. I know it was International Women's Day the other day. So I'm going to take that a win for the women. But again, that has nothing. He has tried to wipe out anything good that has happened from marginalized communities and women. And he wants all the accolades to look like it happened with all white men. Again, depending how you look at it, but to be honest, I don't know how you can refute that. So again, that was the girl, Jocelyn, that he mentioned in the address. Bitcoin reserve, he wants to establish. He used to be against Bitcoin. Now he is all for cryptocurrency. Again, all of his homies, convinced him of that, his rich guys. And they want to reflect their administration's recognition of digital assets in a national economic strategy. I'm behind on that. Again, I think we've talked about cryptocurrency before. I think that is the wave of the future one day. Paperless, where, as a matter of fact, we just got rid of the penny. Although there have been some ramifications of that. So I would be a hypocrite in telling you that if you get rid of something, that they're not going to be hard times. And some people have to, what's the name? Ben Shapiro said that, and I'm sure other people have said it. Social justice, in order to perform social justice, someone else has to lose their justice. They have to lose their liberties or rights. And right now, some, I believe, antique dealers, or people that deal with memorabilia and stuff, they're hurting in that area for the pennies. But pennies cost more than they take to make. And so it's a worthless endeavor. A lot of presidents tried to shelve that, and this administration finally did it. But back to the Bitcoin, I do think that we're going to go paperless one day. I do think that that is going to be the wave. But right now, it's all speculative. So anybody that makes money off of it, it's all about that. It's all just like good news, and it raises the price. It has nothing to do with its value. But again, I'm like a novice in that area. Let's get down to the Academy Award winners. And you saw that I made some picks. Congratulations to Sean Baker. He did the Florida Project, one of my favorite movies. And now he has been rewarded finally for Anora. And that was my pick for Best Picture. He also won Best Director. He tied the record with Walt Disney for most single person awards. Best Actor was Adrian Brody. Shout out to his girlfriend catching his gum. He also he broke his own record for The Pianist for the longest acceptance speech, and it was a bunch of hot garbage. I'm an Adrian Brody fan, but like that was whack. He was all over the place. He went from talking about anti-Semitism. He said, "Be good to people." He barely thanked anybody. He made sure the orchestra, and he did this the first time too. He did this the last time he won. He told the orchestra to stop playing so that he could get his acceptance speech in. 2 thumbs down. I would have took back that award for that speech, to be honest. That's how horrible it was. No, I'm joking. Shout out to Conan O'Brien. I'm a Drake fan. I'm also a Kendrick fan. I know that it's hard to believe. And he made like a fucking Drake joke. Yo, Drake, don't be suing me either, man. I'm with him on that. I think it's a little corny to be suing after a rap battle. I will admit that. But some of the things that he's claiming, like the payola, and it's also a little hypocritical too. It's like, yo, I know you did this because you did this for me. So basically, he's saying that the escalation of that song, which was dope, Not Like Us, one of DJ Mustard's best beats of all time, so good. Not that Kendrick didn't kill it on the song, but I feel like almost anybody could have killed it on that beat. But it just so happens Kendrick's the man anyway. So I feel bad for Drake because there is no significant evidence that he is a pedophile. And so because that song is so catchy and he did a good job. He did a job of of making a melody of it. Yeah, so Conan made a joke about that, but he was excellent. He was a great host. He did a very good job. He was less preachy, less he didn't come down on people like Richard Gervais. He was great. He was great. He was up there with Chris Rock. He was up there for the Emmys with Emmy Poehler and Tina Fey. I'm a big fan. Best Actress went to Mikey Madison. Shout out to her. I love the Scream franchise. She's one of the slashers from those movies. She's also from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Best Actor, this was a shoo-in, Kieran Culkin. Shout out to the Culkins. Macaulay Culkin said he cried, he bawled like a baby. He knew he was going to win. And he said this was the best thing that ever happened to their family. And there's a lot of success that have come from the Culkins. So that's a big thing. I don't think it's a huge range for him. I had Jeremy Strong winning. I thought he did a better job as Roy Cohn in The Apprentice. And again, I think that Kieran Culkin plays kind of the same roles. They're a little different each time, but it's pretty much sarcastic, witty. And I would like to see him expand his range a little bit. But I thought it was worthy. I thought he did a really good job in Real Pain. Shout out to Jesse Eisenberg. He wrote the movie. Very good. And during the SAG Awards, he congratulated Emma Stone for being an inspiration to him and being a peer and looking over his materials before they were produced. Good job. Zoe Saldana, Amelia Perez, the controversial movie because of what Gasson, the trans actor, said on her Twitter back in the day when it was Twitter. Go Queen, Zoe Saldana. I know they make fun of her too because she has a white husband and all of her sisters do. Who cares? As a matter of fact, that's huge in Latin culture. I don't know if I don't know how you combat that. Like, what do you say? Don't date white guys? Like, but in Latin cultures, especially Latin American cultures, they want you to assimilate. That is one of their things. They want you to date a white person so that you can make their race lighter. And you could prove me wrong on that, but like that's my experience, and that's what I've seen in history. But again, Zoe Saldana is the first Dominican American to win the award. Go her. She did it. I think she did a great job. I liked Amelia Perez. I think I was in the minority. I know that it was the most nominated, and that doesn't mean that it was the most popular. You know, it's like the Electoral College, the Academy Award. It's like, forget the box office. We're here for the arts. I'm all for it. If the Academy Awards were that predictable and it was about like the critics' choice or like voting from the general public, they would be non-existent. Then we would just be voting for it, and then it would just get the award like the Billboard Awards. It's not like that. Like, and it's also a very diverse committee now, and a very diverse group of artists, backgrounds, ages. So, and it's done with ranked choice. So, like, if you don't know something, like you'll know another movie and you'll rank it there, or another actor, and that's how it wins, the ranked choice. Like, second place might win the vote because of like if the person doesn't know a certain person or a nominee. So anyway, Anora emerged as the evening standout, securing 5 awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Editing. Sean Baker's 4 wins tied Walt Disney's record for the most Oscars won by an individual in a single night. Big out to him. Mikey Madison at 25 became the 9th youngest recipient of the Best Actress Award. I believe Jennifer Lawrence holds that record for the Silver Linings Playbook. She's a wonderful actor as well, but I didn't realize how young she was. Again, Zoe Saldana made history as the first American Dominican descent to win the Oscar, earning Best Supporting Actress for her role in Amelia Perez. Shout out to Paul Tazwell, became the first Black man to win Best Costume Design for his work on Wicked. Great movie. They gave a shout out to the people that died, like Gene Hackman. It was presented by his friend Morgan Freeman. Naughty, though, they forgot about Shannon Doherty and they forgot about Michelle Trachtenberg. Shannon Doherty died of cancer complications a few months ago. Michelle Trachtenberg, I think, died of liver complications. She was very sick. Pretty young, too, my age, if you want to consider that young. That sucked. But Gene Hackman, I heard he had some form of dementia or Alzheimer's or something, so he couldn't like really move. And his 66-year-old wife died before him, so he was like taking care of himself and was just like out of his mind for like a week straight. And then both of them became mummified. That was a terrible way to go. Again, one more shout out to Conan Bryan. I really like him. My grandmother doesn't, and my grandmother claims to be like this Irish like representative, and she's not Team Coco. What's up with that? Controversies. There is not a thing with no controversy. Supposedly, Gal Gadot, who is a proud Israeli, she did not present the award. I think that was debunked. I don't think that she was supposed to. I think, I believe it was who was presenting. I forgot who was presenting it, but it wasn't her. And they tried to pit that on her. Again, I'm pro Palestine, and I'm pro. Again, I'm for the 1967 borders, like Obama. So it's not like I want to eradicate Israel. Oh my God, like that sounds terrible. To eradicate anybody, to commit genocide on anybody. So again, we're here today. So I believe in a 2-state solution. I don't believe in kicking everybody out and putting them all back in Europe. Not a fan of that. I don't want to displace anybody. So the documentary No Other Land, which I haven't seen yet, it's been hard to distribute. There's the Film Forum in the city in Manhattan that's playing it. because it's so controversial, nowhere in Europe, nowhere in the US, pretty much no major theaters, nowhere. Only in like pretty much Palestine and pretty much nowhere in Israel because Israel doesn't want to acknowledge that these things are happening with the settlement lands in the West Bank and in Gaza. They just want to make it seem like October 7th was an isolated incident when it was not. There's a lot of things that have gone down, a lot of ceasefires broken, lots of abuse, lots of bombing on both sides, craziness, lots of killing, lots of hostages on both sides. It has been a mess since the Belfast Accord, and when they gave British Palestine over to the Zionist movement. So, No Other Land depicts forced displacement of Palestinians in the West Bank, sparked significant debate. Israeli politicians criticize the film for perceived bias, and when they say that, it's like, yo, what about October 7th? What about the Israel point of view? I read the book The Message by Ta-Nehisi Coates, and he made a good example. What about it? It's everywhere. It's not like you can't find that perspective, especially in the U.S. The U.S. is a staunch ally of Israel, so you're not going to not find their perspective. You're not going to find, and anti-Semitism is just anti-Arabic. It's everybody from those regions, those Abrahamic regions. So when you say modern anti-Semitism is towards Jewish people, but that's technically not correct. So anyway, Israeli politicians, don't say that to Kanye, by the way. That boy is wild. I had to finally delete him on Twitter. I can't associate with his Nazism and put it on his shirt and saying he's a Nazi and saying that he makes anti-Semitism music. He is wild. Somebody needs to get your boy. They had a podcast with Amber Rose, and now she's not a feminist, but she said that like he doesn't have anybody telling him no, and he's probably off the meds. I feel bad for homie, and I feel bad for his family. This is all embarrassing. And for his fans, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of his music. I'm embarrassed for myself. I'm embarrassed that I've ever been associated with someone that could say those things. Again, not into any of that. While some pro-Palestinian groups disapproved of its collaborative nature, that's a little weird because the filmmakers were Israeli and Palestinian. What's wrong with that? Despite the controversies, the film won Best Documentary Feature. Emilia Perez, despite leading with 13 nominations, only secured 2 awards, leading to the discussion of its portrayal of Mexico and the disparity between nominations and wins. The director was French, so he wasn't Mexican. A lot of people, especially with my homegirl, Selena Gomez, they said the accents weren't very accurate and authentic. And I've even had some family members say something about that. My homeboy from Acapulco, he's the one who called it out. He also backtracked from it. But I liked it. I get it. I get all these things. It's art. It's art. It can't be for everyone. So, is there anything else happening in the news? Let's see. Let's see. We have how much time do we have left? All right, we have like 15 minutes, so let's do one more topic at least. Why not? Oh, SpaceX crashed 2 of his planes, and that happens. That happened. That's not a big deal. But he keeps putting the debris in the Caribbean. No good. No good. We have some major storms happening in the Mississippi. 2 fatalities happened. Obviously, death happens, but we don't want that. Like I said, the measles outbreak that needs to stop. Yo, go get vaccinated, please. I know my shit is probably gonna get flagged for that, but it's true. Know your rights with ICE. Right now, they have lifted, and the judge in Colorado supported this, where ICE can go into schools and religious institutions, and so a lot of kids have been staying home. And so I guess advocates of blowing up the DOE, which is we're trying to happen. Jimmy Carter separated from the Department of Health and Human Services, and ever since then, Republicans have been trying to dismantle the Department of Ed. They do not want centralized education, even though the countries we lag behind, like China, in education, they have centralized education. So it's because state by state. So if you go to Texas, they'll try to tell you slavery wasn't all that bad. And so and you wonder why when we go globally to compete, we have different facts, the United States of facts. It's crazy, or alternate facts. But speaking of which, they just had a Senate grilling of the New York City, not the New York City, the city mayors that are so-called sanctuary cities. And my home girl, mayor of Boston. Right, I can't afford a research person, so ChatGPT it is. Michelle Wu is the current mayor of Boston, and she made the history as the first woman and first woman of color elected in the position of the city's history. Boston, wow, Southie, it's true, it's true. Go her, and go her for standing up to the Mr. Boldcut. I forgot what his name was. What the hell? Why do you vote for people that look nasty like that? But anyway, Eric Adams pushed back at AOC. So basically, the sanctuary cities committees are in the Senate are pushing back on these mayors and saying that you are making it unsafe because you are not complying with ICE and you are not complying with the agenda of the administration of deportations, mass deportations. And so my homegirl Wu, in her congressional testimony, so it wasn't even the Senate, sorry, congressional testimony, Mayor Wu testified before congressional panel emphasizing the positive impact of immigrants in Boston. I'm with her on that. I am not a border guy. Emphasizing the positive impact of immigrants in Boston, where 1 in 4 residents is foreign born, a quarter of the city. She defended the city's sanctuary city policies, asserting they contribute to public safety by fostering trust between immigrant communities and law enforcement. The controversy, I can't go without that. An off-duty police officer on March 2nd fatally shot an armed individual at a Chick-fil-A. Mayor Wu extended condolences to the family of deceased that sparked debate among city residents and officials. She publicly opposes Trump's proposed mass deportation efforts, reaffirming Boston's commitment to protecting its immigrant population and refusing to cooperate with federal initiatives that could instill fear within the community. And so a lot of them are saying, you're putting us in danger. And she said, no, cutting Medicaid, cutting cancer research, getting families afraid to come into her city and to thrive in her city, that is what's making us unsafe. And I just so happen to agree with her. I hate Eric Adams, but he kind of said the same thing. It is your job to close the border. Once they get to my city, I have to make sure that they have everything they need to build up momentum and to assimilate into the city. As a matter of fact, the mayor race is open right now, and Cuomo, I hate Cuomo. This guy is running now. I don't know all the candidates at the moment. Let's see who is. Nobody cares at the moment. We'll get to that when it gets more relevant. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all for today. We got a little entertainment in there. We got a little news in there. Yeah, I can't think of anything that's happening. But thank you for joining me. The show is back again. If you would like to contribute to this show, I haven't really been promoting it lately. I want to get back into the flow, but the numbers are pretty decent. Thank you. Please contribute to the show. Help us, help you. Anything that you give, I put to the show, and I try to make it better. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and Twitch channels. Right now, it is live on Twitch. Shout out to Oslamalo. We're going to probably do some streaming stuff together. Shout out to my Yankees. This is some sports news. Garrett Cole is checking out his elbow. He might be out for the season. So is Giancarlo Stanton. Luis Gil is going to miss 3 to 4 months. It is a very sad day for Yankee fans. Shout out to my brother Thomas, my sister Jenny, my sister Michelle Michelle and Thomas, they became new parents to Benjamin Thomas Sanders. I am a first-time uncle. I am so proud. I know this is going to sound really corny, but right, you're such a grouch, Vince. I don't like kids and I don't like babies. I don't want to touch them. I don't want to hold them. But this was the first time I ever wanted to. It's the first. So I'm biracial. My dad is black and my mom is white. And so when you see those family members, they look certain. They don't look like me, my brother and sister. And this is the first time I looked at a baby, and it looked like us. It didn't look like me, of course. I didn't procreate that, but it looked like my brother. It looked like, and my sister-in-law is European and Dominican, and so again, and we look Dominican, so it looked like us. It looked like them. It looked like us. It was a very emotional time. I've been to the hospital twice to go visit the little man. He is precious. I'm so happy he's a part of this family. He already made the family better, and it was wonderful, man. I'm with them. They're not posting too many pictures. They didn't make too many announcements. I don't think there's many fans that watch this show that like would go run and tell them that I said all this, but I don't think it's a big deal anyway. Again, please follow our Instagram. Thank you for watching, listening. Please support. Please, I can't say that enough. Please support us in a monetary way. All my links can lead you there. Cash App, Zelle, all that good stuff. Please follow YouTube and Twitter. X, and go and download this podcast wherever you want to. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud. We're all over the place. And yeah, let's do this. Let's get the fuck out of here. I've taken too much of your Sunday. So you better shut the fuck up, listen up, and keep up with your boy StillVinSane. Over and out, homies. We will be back next Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm here for the long haul, guys. I'm done taking breaks.